All right. Delete this one. Yeah, it looked like it working. Hold on, give me 1 second.
You good. All the time. You good.
All right, cool. Um, All right. Well, Aubrey, welcome to the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me. Good evening. Hope all is well.
Yeah, everything good. How are you?
I cool for the while. Just rock back home, relaxing.
All
How
right, so
about well,
we can get straight into it. Now, my first interaction with you, so I kind of itsy. But for everyone, whoopsie, Aubrey, we lose Aubrey. All right, let's see if he'll jump back in.
yeah, I'm back.
All
Yeah,
right.
I was saying I was not really a person to do podcasts and lies and things, but I say if it's to talk about God and football, then yeah, I will come through. I'll
Yeah,
come through.
yeah, it's something relatively new to me,
So
so
thanks for having me.
that's a problem at all. But for the viewers, and I guess myself, because I really don't know you as a footballer, you could tell us who is Aubrey David, when you started your journey in football, and if football was the only sport you played as a youth.
Um, Funny story. Started off in track and fields actually. Yeah, started off in track and fields. Used to run for Point 14 Jets at that time it was called. And I used to run 800, 1500, and basically marathons. And at the age of 11, I just got bored. I just got bored. I just running. And so I asked my mom, my brother, and myself, asked our mom that if we could try another sport. And she was like, okay, cool, no problem. What do you want to try? And we was like, football. And that is when I really started to play football at the age of 11. Kind of late for some because
Yeah.
kids normally start maybe 7 or 8. But yeah, used to be into track and fields and then switched over to football at age 11. So I was basically starting fresh, like behind everybody else because already when I went to the club, I went to Point 14 Civic Center, which was coached by Neville Frederick, rest in peace. And yeah, basically start fresh. And from there, he taught me all the fundamentals of football. And that's when I fell in love with the game.
Okay. So what part of Trinidad are you from?
And originally, I'm from Guyana. I was born in Guyana. And at the age of 3, I went to Trinidad with my mom and my brother, and then we stayed in Trinidad. So when I went to Trinidad, I lived in Point 14.
So it's
Point
okay.
Point Legal, Point 14 to be exact. But yeah. So originally I'm from Guyana, but moved to Trinidad. Trinidad adopted me.
That's cool. I noticed you have a clothing brand. I want to know
Hmm.
what inspired the clothing brand, and then what's the meaning behind NWG.
Um, Basically, it was a push from a best friend because she was like, Aubrey, you're doing well. You're playing with a good club. You're winning championships. You need to get your name more out there. And I was the more conservative type, and I was like, nah, no on it, no on it. And he always bring like business ideas and different stuff to me, which is Wesley John.
Yeah.
And he was like, nah, you should do it. You should do it. Your name is doing well and that stuff. And I was like, I told him no about 3 times, and then after I was
Yeah.
like, okay, when I actually won a second championship, I was like, okay, I'll give it a try and none to lose.
Yeah.
And that is how it actually started from his push. And NWG basically means nothing was given, being like a testimony to my career and my journey. As I said, basically I started football late and had to play catch up a lot. So basically there was no favors handed out. I had to work
Yeah.
for everything. So basically that word NWG means nothing was given. It was earned, like you had to work for it. So I have like NWG and BTL, which is built to last. So those two phrases I like to use a lot because I think it represents me a lot, and that is how basically the clothing brand started. But it on pause right now because of movement. Because when I
Yeah.
started it, I was actually in Costa Rica, and I
Okay.
had everything set up there with the manufacturers and that stuff. But now that I'm in Guatemala, it's a little difficult to find people and to in order to ship
Yeah.
because there are people from like America asking how they could get, and I haven't really set up the link as yet, so it's on pause right now. But that's basically how the brand started.
Okay. Cool. Hmm. How old were you when you just stepped into the national spotlight? Jeez, we lose Aubrey again. Hold on.
How old was I when I stepped into the national spotlight?
Yeah.
Honestly, I was 14.
Okay.
14 when I started to play for the national team. That time we had the under 15s, you had the CFUs.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, went to do a couple screenings and made the under 15 team, but couldn't play any tournament because like basically the team was already picked and that stuff. I was selected and I was in camp,
Yeah.
and the manager came around and like 2 days before the tournament, and he was like, everybody passport, passport, passport. I was like,
Mm.
passport? Where's a passport? And he was like, because I was like, I really didn't know much. And he was like, your passport and Ishuma was one.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. You had to ask my mom. So he called and he was like, Mrs. David, or we have
Yeah.
a passport, but they didn't know that I didn't have a Trinidad passport. So she was like, yeah, but he doesn't have a Trinidad passport. You have a Guyanese passport.
Yeah.
And obviously, it was too close to the tournament to try to get my passport, so I had to miss out on that tournament. But basically, that's when it started at under 14 level, and then went straight up to the ranks by the grace of God. But yeah, at 14 is when I first stepped onto the national team. And at the senior level, when I made my debut, I was 23 years old. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that's
Yeah.
really late. Nowadays you seen um
Yeah. Nowadays, 16,
16,
17.
15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They done, yeah. So yeah, 23 years when that time it was very competitive. So you had
Of
to make
course,
sure
yeah.
and be ready when you get a call up, because if you get too early and you don't make the most of the opportunities, that you could fall by the wayside. So at that
Yeah.
time the level was so high that everybody else there earned the pick, and it was so difficult to break in.
Okay. And you play centre back, was that always your first choice?
Nah, that was my first choice. First position that I played was left back, right back.
Mm.
Then when I went on to the national team, they put me to play left wing. Don't know why. God, don't know why. And I was playing left wing, and left back was play Akeem Adams was playing there.
Okay.
Rest in peace. And what has happened was that I had a lot of energy because remember I used to be into track and field, so I had a lot of stamina to
Yeah.
go up and down. And what happened is Akim used to like to go up, but he never used to come back. So the coach was
Yeah.
like, okay, tune on your switch. And that's how I ended up staying left back, and then after I moved to centre back.
Yeah.
But basically those positions here, left back, centre back, and right back, was the positions that I primarily played. And they had a season in school that I played centre midfield, defensive midfield, because that's
Sweet
wild.
spot.
So yeah, so yeah, basically those positions. But the greatest maybe was left wing, because
Okay.
not really my thing.
Yeah. And what has your journey to become a professional footballer look like?
The journey by the grace of God and by thinking about it now, grateful. First and foremost, must make that clear. Grateful to God for the career that I've had and
Yeah.
continue to have. But the journey wasn't easy at all. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of things people don't see, a lot of battles you have to fight within yourself. You, as a fellow bowler, would know that it doesn't be easy. It's not
Yeah.
all the glamour that everybody see on social media, you know. There's a lot of battles that we have to fight, and especially when we go outside of our country,
Yeah.
you have to deal with racism, you have to deal with different fans, you have to deal with even some of your teammates don't even like you and that kind of stuff. So it's a lot, it's a lot. But as I said, I'm grateful for the journey that I've had so far. I think it shaped me into a much stronger person mentally, physically, and spiritually. Yeah, it had its ups and downs, but grateful. Can't
Yeah.
complain.
What is the biggest sacrifice you've made to reach this level?
Biggest sacrifice I've made.
Don't tell me we're losing again. Is the internet real? Your internet
Yeah,
real? Kicking you out?
no, don't bash my internet now. I don't go down the internet trying to show off now. Only time I was working good, know. Biggest sacrifice. I
Yeah.
wouldn't to think about it. It wasn't like when I decided that here, yeah, I want to be a professional footballer.
Yeah.
I know that I had to be different than my friends. Like they could limely, they could eat whatever they want, they could basically enjoy themselves. But I know that certain things I had to sacrifice, and it wasn't hard for me because as I said it was a dream. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go after it no matter what. So I just had to work hard and be disciplined.
Yeah.
And I guess sacrifice, might be just stepping away from your family, stepping away from your comfort zone, because it's always good to have your family close by. But when you're in another country, different
Hmm.
language, time difference, and then you're facing difficult obstacles. Sometimes you need somebody close to you. So basically, I think maybe that is it. The sacrifice was accepting that here going on. I had to go and pursue my dream, but it means that I will have to step away from my family and be uncomfortable at times. And yeah, I think that would have to be the biggest sacrifice, I would say.
Yeah. And you spoke about the language barrier. Um, how did you maneuver that? Because you said you played in Costa Rica. Okay, so what other countries have you played in? And
Okay, so I've played in Costa Rica.
mhm.
I started off in Finland.
Okay.
I started off in Finland. Then I moved to Kazakhstan, which was the toughest because they spoke Russian. So I
Yeah.
had to learn, and I didn't really have much teammates that was talking English. And from Kazakhstan, I went to Costa Rica.
Okay.
From Costa Rica, then I went to USA in the MLS. And then from there, went back to Costa Rica because I was on loan. And then went to Finland 2 more years, and then went back to Costa Rica again, and then Ecuador,
Yeah.
and after Ecuador, Costa Rica, then Costa Rica, Guatemala, where I am currently.
You're like Costa Rica.
Yeah, that was second home. That was second home. That was second home. So yeah,
And
yeah.
so how many years now have you been playing professional football? Then?
Started since I was 18.
Okay.
Started when I was 18. Now I'm 35. Going on 36. God spare life.
Yeah.
So how old? It's been a while. But going back to your last questions, the most difficult one I had to deal with was the speaking Russian and learning Russian. Because as I said, some places that you go, they wouldn't accept you.
True.
They wouldn't accept you. Sometimes your teammates don't want you to come and take your place, and they don't want you to take the friend place. So it would be rough. So I had to learn fast. I had to learn was good morning, how are you, how to act around because basically nobody came to pick me up. I had to take a taxi, so I had to learn, and use
Wow.
Google Translate and that stuff. And it was challenging because had to fight against the language barrier, had to fight against the cold, very
Mm.
cold, had to fight against racism
Yeah.
because I was the only black player on my team. And I was there for 1 year, and the city capacity is 40,000, and I've never seen a black person since I
Yeah.
was there for the whole year, never. And it was difficult. It was difficult because sometimes I would go out to the mall with my teammates, the foreign base, and I would be eating, and literally right in front of me, people would just stop and watch me like this. Seriously, like right in front of me. Or
Yeah.
sometimes I'll just be eating and I'll just feel my head go like this because somebody touched me to see if I real or to touch my skin. And not to say they're not they're like they have the Russian mentality, so they're a little bit arrogant. So they're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
coming up to me like, "Hi, how are you? Can I touch your skin?" Mm-mm. I eating and it just and when I raise up, them continue walking. So it was
Yeah.
it was that was tough mentally. That was the hardest I had to deal with.
Oh boy. Let's see if I can add them back.
Want to start. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and that and also switch of coach, which the first coach that was there that brought me got fired after a couple of games.
Mm.
Second coach that came in never spoke to me. Never.
Wow.
So enter the dressing room. Good morning, good morning, good morning. You'll see me. Skip. Good morning, good morning, good morning. If he like when I played and if he wanted to tell me something, he would tell another guy, hey, tell the black guy to do this, 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 this. Like seriously,
Wow.
like never even spoke to me. So it was tough. It was tough. It was tough. But I think that was the hardest year of my career in Kazakhstan. But as I said, the trials and the tribulation made me stronger mentally and prepared me for what was ahead. So
Yeah.
to take the positives from it.
Yeah. I also played in Kazakhstan, but from your experience, I was
Where
in
you
Beak.
played?
I was in Shikment in Beak. That was
I
last
was
year
in I was
actually.
in Karaganda. I don't know if you know what that is.
I
I
don't
don't
know
know where
what
your
that is
place is.
though.
I only know
But because
Astana
yeah,
and Kairat, and that is it. Other than that, I don't know what other places.
the culture changed a bit too because now they ask you nicely, can I get a picture with you? Yeah, so it's not slap you down and
When I was in the mall, they would just be lined up watching. And
yeah,
then somebody would get the courage to say, "Can I have a picture?" When I say yes to one, that is a
that's
deal.
it. Yeah, that's
A whole
it.
line. So my teammates will actually tell me, "Hey, I will see you at the house because I'm not coming now because everybody know what picture." And it's not because,
Correct.
oh, he's Aubrey David or he's a
Yeah,
footballer. He's a black guy.
correct.
First,
Yeah,
maybe first black person they ever saw in person because maybe they're accustomed seeing black people on TV, but some of them never saw black people in real. So yeah.
yeah,
But how
yeah.
long you stayed in Kazakhstan?
One season.
One
Actually,
season?
I didn't even stay one season to be fair. I was there from January and I probably left in the beginning of June. It was bad. I share the same sentiments with you.
No, that was
It
the,
was
that's the
really
worst.
bad.
That's the worst experience of my career. Like one time I went to training
Yeah.
and I was like, everybody in the dressing room, it was time to train. I was like, what going on? Teammate was like, they're going to do a sacrifice. I was like, sacrifice? Because there they have a ritual that they'll do something and they'll start to win games because we was in a slump.
Ah, okay then.
So basically the coach come and like, yeah, we're gonna do a sacrifice. I was like, coach, to be honest with you, this is not what I'm for. I didn't come for this. This is not my religion. He said, yes, he understand, but you and the other foreign players could stay in the back. I was like, okay. He said, if we don't have to watch, we could turn. I was like, all right. Bear in mind, we on the field, we on the field. They come in with a sheep and a basin, and they killed the sheep, and then they took the blood and to do some kind of thing, and that was their ritual because they needed to win games or something like that.
Mm.
And me and like five other foreign players, we just turned our backs and we just waiting for it over. And on top of that, we still had to go and train on that field. I was like, nah, they had to be smoking. So after that, I was like, nah, I am ready. I was like, let me call my agent. I'm ready to get out of here. Never see something like that in my life.
Yeah, that's a mad scene.
Yeah, that was
You know,
crazy.
I mean, the team I was on, they had more black people. Oop. Yeah, they had more black people. I had an extremely on my team, so you know,
I just needed one other black person. It don't matter whether from Nigeria,
yeah,
Ghana. I just needed one black person. Just look like me, just to
yeah,
associate
yeah.
myself. Nah, I didn't have that.
So it's a
You're
little more
lucky.
comforting though.
Mm-hmm.
We was all going through it. I can tell you. Um, but let's talk faith. How did your faith journey begin with Christ?
Basically, grew up in the church.
Mm.
Grew up in the church. I actually used to play piano for the service. So when the service, I played piano for the hymns and that stuff. Um, yeah, it was just basically every Tuesday, Sunday, go to church. It was like a rule for us. And then yeah, just got closer to Christ and accepted Christ as my Lord and Savior. That is basically it. Just started in the church before the sports and everything.
Hey, is that a challenge with your Wi-Fi?
I gotta call them boy. I gotta call them in and tell them yeah, that mom. Yeah,
Yeah.
so basically that was it. I just grew up in the church basically. Just grew up in the church before the sports and everything.
Okay. And how do you stay rooted in Christ whilst being in such a performance-driven environment?
Is is it's not difficult for me sometimes. It's the most difficult thing is sometimes when you go to another country to find a church,
Mm.
but I've found one here. And for me, it's devotion, time and everything like that is a must every day. Take time to read and pray and talk to God because for me, God have to be in the center because without God, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible, and
Yeah.
it all depends on a personal relationship that I have with Him. Because even though I go through good moments, I can't forget God because when the bad moments come, die when normally everybody else was like, ah, God, please help me now. So for me,
Yeah.
is to maintain that balance, knowing that God have to be at the center of everything and let Him take control. So, or every day I have devotion time more than anything else. When I wake up in the morning, I have my daily bread, and I read my daily bread. I don't know if you're familiar with that
Yeah.
small
Yeah.
book. Yeah. So I have my daily bread and then I have a Bible. So as soon as I wake up, I read my daily bread and then pray and then get ready for my day. Obviously, as I said, I found a church here. So
Yeah.
I go prayer meetings, I go Bible study and then church on a Sunday when I can.
Yeah.
Most times I cannot because of the games that comes on Sunday, but still, if I can't, I have my devotion time or I'll watch a sermon on the internet. But yeah, basically that's how it does go for me.
Okay. That chain of thought, then I'll lose it. Um, are there any specific scriptures you lean on during difficult seasons?
Difficult season is there's one that I read before every game, before
Yeah.
every game, which is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your path. And always like that is a must every game. If there's
Yeah.
one thing that I have to keep constant is that. Maybe I could change my socks, I could change my boots, but that as soon as I get to the stadium, change my clothes, more than anything else, go to the bathroom because that's where it's a little bit more quiet because guys play music and that stuff. I
Yeah.
read, pray, ask God for guidance, health, and strength. and then after I go out and then start meditating on the game. But that was I use for basically everything, because sometimes when a difficult situation come up, the mind starts racing. The mind starts basically hallucinating that, okay, this gonna happen, this gonna happen, this not gonna happen. Before even anything happen, you start overthinking.
Yeah.
And of lately, more and more starting to accept the fact that there's a lot of things that we don't have control of. So sometimes when my mind starts going here, there, and starts overthinking, like, oh, this problem is going to be too big for me, and just relax.
Yeah.
Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him. I'll take my time, pray, and after I finish prayer, I said, Lord, let your will be done. And that's I've been learning lately to just let go, because as I'm a type of person, like I try to solve everything, because basically we play football, so we have to solve situations in like rapid time. So it's a
Yeah.
habit of us, like, okay, this happened, okay, well, how are we going to fix this problem? So of lately I was like, here we're going on. Lord, take it. You let your will be done. I am available for whatever the outcome is. Trust in you. You understand? So basically, that scripture is what gets me. That's what gets me by. And sometimes it's difficult at times, because I see when problems come, I start overthinking it, and just I need
Yeah.
sometimes to be like, hey, I'll go back to that scripture, pray, and then after that, it's like, Lord, you let your will be done. So basically, that's the scripture that's just get me through the tough times, the
Incidents.
yeah, embarrassment, boy, it's intimate, boy. Oh gosh. Yeah, back. I'm back.
Yeah. Well, obviously you're playing in Guatemala. You said a Spanish
Yeah.
speaking country. How how do you maneuver the language barrier? Or are you now fluent in Spanish because of all the years you've been in Costa Rica?
Thanks to God, no fluent. I wouldn't say 100%. I would say maybe 80, but I
Yeah.
understand everything. So still working on the talking part in terms of like talking in future tense and that stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm like 80% fluent. And yeah, I learned Spanish in Trinidad in Bethany in
Okay.
secondary school. But
Okay.
because of football, you know how it has been, you nearly pay much attention, you understand?
True.
Because you're thinking to yourself, why, when I go and use Spanish, you understand?
Yeah.
That time I wasn't thinking that big now. So
Correct.
yeah, and the thing is, what I learned in school wasn't what I was using in Costa Rica. So
Mm.
basically, I had to scrap that and start from fresh. So basically, listening to my teammates in Costa Rica, they are so friendly and always willing to help. And I had a couple of teammates that spoke English, so they helped me adjust as fast as possible. So I'll just be around them, listening, and then when I hear one word like a couple of times, I'll be like, okay, what that means, and then they'll explain it. And that's how I went along. And then after I started putting sentences together, also used Duolingo, which
Yeah.
helped a lot. Which helped a lot. So yeah, and then after I became fluent after a while, and yeah, thanks to God, I'm comfortable with it.
All right. How do you use your platform as a professional footballer to share the gospel and give glory to God?
I think by actions more than anything else. And of late years, I was having this conversation. I was talking to the person. I was like, you could still do more, because as I told you, I'm not really a podcast guy or a guy to be that spoken. But the conversation, I don't know. I think you're familiar with Camille. I was having a conversation with Camille, and he was like, "Yeah, you could do more on that stuff." And so I was taking it into consideration. But basically, my style is by actions. Almost like what 3 times for the week, I will like post scriptures both in English and Spanish. And basically, when by my play, when I enter the field, always give God all the honor and glory. When game finish, always kneel down and pray. And by my clothing as well, underneath my jersey, always have to God be the glory. So and that way, I think I when people look sometimes, obviously, there's heated moments in the game where I misbehave sometimes, but I think by my actions and by me giving God all the honor and glory, sometimes people actually reach out to me and they'll be like, thanks for that message, thanks. And we see that you're a man of faith and that stuff. And I actually got invited to a couple of places here that they wanted me to come and talk about God and talk about my career and that stuff. So
Okay.
people that actually pay attention, as much as we think that is insignificant, we could change somebody's life because as I play for my club, which is a well-known club, there are a lot of kids looking up to me and
Yeah.
our team. So by my actions and by my message about God, makes them want to emulate the same type of stuff, and that will make them want to get closer to God. Um, but yeah, basically that's how I basically passed the message because recently when somebody reached out to me, there was a time I remember we lost in the Gold Cup. We lost
Mm.
5-0 to America. I think it was Gold Cup 2019, if I'm not mistaken. And after the loss, I was praying. Started praying, kneel down and pray, and the camera actually focused on me. And like a couple of people reached out, and there was like, even though the loss, and even though that you're maybe upset, sad, you still give God all the honor and glory, and that is a big message. So I use the gospel to try to get other people. But as I told you, I think I can still do more to get the message across and use my platform in a bigger way.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Camille. I was like, when you say Camille, I was like, who is Camille again? But then I
Yeah,
remember.
no, no,
Yeah, Camille.
Camille
Yeah.
actually helps a lot because sometimes he reached out to me and he always asks, how is my season going? What can he pray for me and that stuff? And sometimes he called me and we have a little devotion.
Yeah.
And is well needed. Always need that encouragement in the faith because you always sometimes you ask how's your faith going and that stuff. And sometimes we are, as many don't like to be that vulnerable,
Yeah.
but sometimes I'll open up and be like, yeah, this is the situation, this, that, and the other, because I'm not really that type. But yeah, he reaches out and he has devotions with me sometimes and just prays for me basically before games and that stuff. And is well needed and appreciated. So yeah, but as I said, there's more I can still do to get the message out there.
Okay. What kind of impact you want to leave on your teammates and your fans?
The impact basically I would like to leave on them is okay, maybe when I leave a club, they should be like, yeah, he was a good teammate, he was a good person, and he was somebody that gave his everything for the club.
Yeah.
Sometimes a bad game, sometimes a good game, but the work ethic and that stuff, they'll be like, nah, he was always there. He was always giving his all. And for my teammates, basically, is the best thing it could happen is when you leave a club, people could talk good about you and said, no, he was a good teammate, he was professional, he always helped, he was humble, he was so basically that is what I would like to the impact I would like to have on the fans and my teammates that beyond the football side,
Yeah.
beyond giving my all for the club, they could say that yeah, he was a good person. He was a man of God.
Yeah. All right. Last question. What would you say to young athletes trying to balance faith and sport?
Three things that I used when I was younger, starting off. First one was my faith in God. Need to have a relationship with God. Need to believe in God. and get to know him more and
Yeah.
more, because with him all things are possible.
Yeah.
Second thing was that I had was discipline. Need to have discipline. Discipline not only meaning on the field that okay, you had to reach for nine, you reach for nine, coach say go right, you go right. Discipline overcoming your desires in terms of sometimes okay, you have game, you're staying up late, you know you have game, you can't stay up late, or you want to go out, or you want to drink, or you want to eat this, or you want to. So you need a lot of discipline. You need a lot of discipline. The third thing is hard work. Hard work. You have to work hard, and that was something that that was on my side. I had the desire to work hard. So those three things I basically use: faith in God, discipline, and hard work, and it helped me in my career, and it continues to help me. So I would say to the younger athletes, they could apply those three things, and I think it will help them a lot. And also believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. If you have a dream, go after it.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's gonna have people that are gonna say, "Nah, I don't think you can make it in a boy, or I don't think you're good enough." Believe in yourself, because it happened to me,
Yeah.
but I used it in reverse to motivate me. So you need to believe in yourself. And as I say, once you believe in yourself, you work hard and you have faith in God,
Yeah.
anything is possible. So basically, that's what I would say to the younger athletes.
Well, Aubrey, this is the end. Thank you so much for being here and for everyone listening. Remember that your gifts have purpose and to give God all the glory. Keep putting God's first. So make sure you can like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs it.
For sure, for sure. Thanks a lot for having me. I'm waiting to see much more episodes. Like it, man. Keep up the good work.
Thanks.